Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alec Reed. This is my channel, Alec Reads. And before I jump into absolutely anything, I do want to put a quick disclaimer. I broke my wheelchair. So on Spotify, there will definitely be some spicier content. There will be my regular content. But there will also be extra paid videos that you can pay for, and it will help support me, and hopefully I will make enough money to buy myself a new wheelchair, as me and my partner have been working just to make ends meet, and in doing that we have been having a hard time saving up money for a wheelchair, because I live in the US and I can't get my insurance company to buy me one. So and once I pay that off, then I have to also pay off the extra that I owe on hearing aids, because I'm hard of hearing. But I just thought I would let you guys know so that you're not confused as to why I'm asking for money, because I think you deserve to know where your money's going. And I wouldn't be asking if it wasn't super, super important, because the only way that I can do this job is if I have a day job also, and I can't have a day job if I can't walk. So, which I can't do that anyway, but you know what I mean. But yeah, I just thought I would let you guys know so that you guys know what you're putting your money into, which in no way am I saying that you have to pay for new episodes. They will be a bit more spicy than the other ones. Just because I want you to be able to get your money's worth, because I already feel bad about having to ask for you to pay for them. But I'm actually filming all of those episodes today and some other spicy content so that I can have a bunch released at one time so that you guys can super enjoy them. So yeah, today we are reading Marriage, a Heartstopper fanfiction by heartstopper_fan22 on Wattpad. And today we are reading chapter 41. Called Flashback. Chapter 41. Flashback. Part 9. Tao was still sitting on his ass as me and Elle carry the stuff out to my parents' car. Elle yells at him to grab the last 2 bags, as she's getting tired of his laziness. He jumps up from the couch real fast, knowing his girlfriend was getting upset. I can't help but laugh at him and say, "She's really got you wrapped around her finger. It's nice to see that you actually listen to someone." Elle stands there looking proud of herself. Then Tao shoots me a fiery look and says, "Shut up, you're probably begging Nick to let you suck his cock." Elle blurts out, "Tao!" I can't help but laugh. I've already told Tao that I've given Nick a few blowjobs before, so it didn't bother me. I pat Elle on the shoulder and say, "It's fine. He's just joking, plus Tao basically knows all the details about me and Nick." She chuckled and then scoffs. "Looks like you forgot to tell someone," she says, pointing at herself with confidence. I say, "Tao can tell you. It's a long story, and we don't have time for that right now." We packed up all the stuff that we needed and headed to Nick's favorite spot, the field behind his house. Obviously, this was going to be a challenge because he was home and could potentially see us sneaking through his backyard, but I was most worried about Nellie. My mom dropped us off 2 doors down from Nick, just so he wouldn't see my parents' car. We carried the stuff down the street to Nick's, and of course Tao whined the whole time. I say quietly before reaching Nick's house, "Guys, we need to be quiet so we don't alarm Nellie." They nod. Me and Elle run through his backyard towards the field behind his home, while Tao stands guard. Me and Elle made it past the trees and into the field, so we were out of Nick's sight. Nick walks out of his house and sees Tao standing at his gate in his backyard, playing Clash of Clans on his phone, not paying attention. What are you doing in my backyard, Tao?" Tao jumps and says, I wanted to get to know my best friend's boyfriend better. You know?" Nick looked shocked because Tao didn't like Nick. Nick responds, "You know I have a front door, right?" Tao rolls his eyes and says, "Do I look like a fool to you, Nick Nelson, the rugby king?" Nick says, "Please just call me Nick." Tao laughs and responds, "Aren't you going to invite me in?" Nick invites him in, and me and Elle are dying of laughter, still hiding behind some bushes, eavesdropping on what has just happened. Tao couldn't think of what to say to Nick, so he just says, "Charlie told me you gave him head for the first time not that long ago." Nick instantly goes red, and a wave of embarrassment washes over him. Nick excuses himself to the bathroom and takes out his phone to text me something. Nick: "Charlie!" Shit. Oh, look at this. Nick just sent me a text. She looks over at it and reads it twice, just to make sure she doesn't miss anything. Ask him what's wrong, or more importantly, ask what Tao did. Charlie: "What's wrong, babe? XX." Nick: "Charlie, did you ask Tao to come over?" Playing dumb, I just said, "No. Why, is he at your house?" Nick: "Yeah, he is. He came over unexpectedly to hang out or something, but it seems like he doesn't really want to be here, so I don't know why he came." Shit, this means Nick is getting suspicious. Me and Elle need to hurry up. Charlie: "Sorry, gotta go. Work calls. Love you. Talk to you later." I show Elle everything, as if she wasn't reading the text above my shoulder anyways. She starts setting up the picnic. We placed a large yellow blanket that covered the beautiful buttercups that filled the ground. For the first time ever, I bought him flowers. I know it's kind of girly, Chester, but I don't think Nick will see it that way. I think he will just see it as I did something special, offering something to the one you love for a special occasion. I even baked Nick's favorite cookie cake. I'm not really into cooking or baking. That was more of Nick's forte, but I tried, even though the edges are a bit crispy. But most importantly, the letter that I had written for Nick. Elle couldn't help herself when she heard I was writing him a letter, to decorate the envelope with colorful tape and all sorts of cute stickers. Finally, we finished setting up the picnic, and Tao and Elle were going to wait at the picnic setup so no animals ate the food, while me and Nick did the first special thing I had planned. Elle sat on the picnic blanket while I ran through the field back to Nick's house. I saw them sitting on the couch through his sliding glass door. I decided to just let myself in. Nick immediately looks over when he hears the door open. "What is with everyone going through my back door today?" he says while rushing over to me to give me a hug. I can see behind Nick, Tao fake gagging at the sight of us hugging. Nick then separates from our hug and says, "Wait, you're supposed to be at work." I pull him in aggressively and kiss him. Nick doesn't resist at all. He then starts moving his tongue around in my mouth like he was desperate. And we hadn't seen each other in ages. Tao then shrieks, "Enough is enough, God!" Nick pulls away, embarrassed, as if he forgot Tao was in the living room with us. I look at him and say, "I actually didn't have work." I lied. The confusion on Nick's face proved to me that he had no clue what was going on, and kept Tao having his big mouth shut. Chapter 42. Flashback. Part 10. "Charlie, if you wanted to hang out with your friends, you didn't have to lie. You could have just said so," Nick said with a heartbroken look on his face. He absolutely hated it when I lied to him. But I think once I tell him that what we're actually up to, he won't be upset anymore. We weren't hanging out. They were helping me set up the surprises I have for you. Nick's smile came creeping back. "What surprises?" I come up behind him, standing on my tippy toes, to be able to reach my arms around his neck, cuddling him from the back. This was really hard, because Nick was quite a bit taller than me. I can't tell you. It's called a surprise, I say into his ear. He grabs my hand from his neck, pulling me around, so now standing in front of him. Well, what's the surprise for? It's not my birthday. I smile and say, if I tell you, it will ruin the surprise. Tao then says from the couch, Charlie, does your boyfriend have no patience at all? I laugh, while Nick stands there looking unamused with Tao's comment. Patience? My boyfriend? Please, he doesn't know the meaning of that word. Nick elbows me in the side, and I just keep laughing. I pull my phone out of my pocket to see if Elle has texted me anything, but I realize what time it is. We need to leave for our first surprise. Nick has a really cute bucket list that I may or may not have read without his knowledge. I'm pretty sure he didn't want me to see it because he never showed it to me. Plus, when I came over one time, it was on his bed, and he quickly pushed it into the crack between the wall and the bed. I could tell by his red, flushed face that he was extremely embarrassed about it. At the time, I didn't know what it was, and the curiosity ate me alive. I know it was wrong to go through his personal stuff like that, but I did. It was a small book, and it said Nick and Charlie's bucket list. I thought it was the cutest thing ever. The first thing on the list is that really caught my eye. He wanted to go mini golfing together. It was perfect, so that's what I decided to do first today, before the picnic. I pulled Nick by the hand and said, my mom is waiting. We better go now. Tao followed behind us, leaving Nick's house, then went towards his backyard again to meet up with Elle. Nick luckily didn't notice Tao sneaking back through his backyard towards the big field in his backyard. We sat in the back, and Tori was sitting in the front seat. It shocked me a little because I told her my plans with Nick, because I tell my sister everything, but I didn't know she was coming. It felt weird because me and Nick were going on a date, and she hates being a third wheel, so I have no idea why she's here. Nick was sitting behind my mom, driving, and I was sitting behind Tori, so I leaned up beside her and whispered, Tori, where are you coming? I'm not trying to be rude, but I don't want you to feel left out. She then replies, I told Michael about what you were planning, and he really wanted to go, so I thought it would be fine if we went too. Totally platonic, though. I smile that her and Michael were spending more time together. It makes me so happy seeing someone who cares about her. I don't know why she doesn't admit that she likes him, because I know deep down she does. And I think he likes her too. I whisper back again. So that's a double date then. Great. She turns her head and glares at me. No, you're on a date and Michael and I are just hanging out. I smile and raise my eyebrows, giving her an are you sure look. She ignores me and says, Nick, your boyfriend is a literal child, you know? Everyone in the car laughs except me. I lean on to Nick, saying quietly, change of plans. It's a double date now. Tori and Michael are coming too. I'm excited for you to meet Michael. He's become a really good friend to Tori and me. He says, I didn't even know what the plans are in the first place, but anything you plan will be perfect. I look to see my mom driving, and Tori sat playing on her phone, so I give Nick a quick kiss on the lips. My mom dropped us off, and when Nick saw we were at mini golf, he said, oh my god, I've always wanted to come here with you. I thought maybe you would think it was cliche and stupid. I hug him tight and say, of course not. Anything I do with you is fun, no matter what we're doing. We all decided to sit on the bench in the parking lot while waiting for Michael to arrive. The bench is quite small, so I sit on the ground beside the bench so my sister and Nick can sit. What are you doing? Nick says as he grabs my hand to stand me up. Then he lifts me onto his lap. In response, I say, sorry. He then puts his hand over my mouth. No saying sorry. You did nothing wrong. I lick his hand, so he'll let go of my face. He then takes his hand off my mouth and licks his hand that we're just licked by me. Ew, Nick, I say while bursting out laughing at how weird we are. Michael walks up and waves before pulling me off Nick and hugging me. Charlie, my man, he says in his usual happy tone. I could see Nick in the corner of my eye. I could tell he was a bit jealous at the fact that another guy was hugging me. So I pulled away and said, "Hey, Michael, how are you? I'm glad you could come." I got cut off by Nick picking me up and throwing me over his shoulder. He was definitely jealous. "Nick, put me down," I say. He does as he's asked. Michael then says, "This will be fun. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while, Charlie. I'm glad we can all have a good time." Tori then says, "Charlie has been too busy hanging out with Nick." I laugh and say, "Guilty." I then say, "This is Nick," while pushing them closer together. Michael sticks out his hand and says, "Nice to meet you. I've heard quite a bit about you." Nick smiles and shakes his hand. "Nice to meet you too." I was glad Nick was behaving and being nice to Michael. I could sense he didn't like him touching me, but Michael was definitely not into me. He liked my sister for sure. Plus, Michael is my best friend and Tori's too. And he was always the nicest person to me as well. Oftentimes, when he was over, I didn't have anything to do, he would invite me to hang out with him and my sister, which I really appreciated. Because most times when I'm by myself in my room, left alone with my thoughts, I start to think bad stuff. So he saved me from myself more times than I can count. I know he sometimes struggles with the same stuff I struggle with, mental health wise, and coming out as pansexual, which always made me feel like I could be vulnerable with him when we soon became very close friends. Alright, that is the end of today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed. Once again, I do want to remind you that I have some spice that I'm actually filming today for you guys. That will be posted on Spotify, so I really hope you enjoy that. But yeah, come back next time where we will continue the 44th chapter, I believe. Yes, 44th. 43rd. Oh my god. 43rd chapter. Called Flashback Part 11. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, night, or afternoon. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Goodbye, ladies, gentlemen, and everything in between. Bye, friends.